If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked how their credits would transfer, I probably could retire early. So this is a really important session. Not only do transfer students bring in transfer credit, but increasingly first-year students do as well in the form of test credits, or also dual enrollment credits as well. So we're going to get into some of the nuances and the policies around transfer credit today. So what's eligible for transfer credit comes in different forms. There's college level coursework that can also be taken for dual enrollment credit as well. There's AP credit. There's IB credit. There's A or AS level credit. And then there's the CLEPS and the JST transcripts that we see for military students. The guidelines are that if you're taking college coursework, you need a C- or better. We also need that coursework to be reported on a college transcript. And for the transfer, we want to see that it's comparable in scope as something that we would offer here. There are scores that are required for the exam credits. So for example, a lot of our AP scores, we require a 4 or a 5. For CLEP, it's a 50 or a 63. And then IB, a 4 to a 7, will generally on the higher level, will usually award credit for. There is a maximum of 75 transfer credits that can be used toward your degree. So when I was talking about the college level and similar scope and comparison to what we offer, what I mean by that are courses like psychology, calculus, history class. Really, if it's a college level class that you find somewhere else, we probably teach it here, and so it would transfer. We also will transfer in credit for gen eds. And the classes that don't transfer are ones that we consider vocational or technical. So by vocational, I mean something like carpentry or pastries. And then by remedial, I mean something like elementary algebra or reading skills, something along those lines. You can learn more about how your credits transfer and how they specifically transfer to your degree by using our transfer navigator. Now this is found on the transfer admissions website. If you go to our website and click on transfer admissions, it's the second thing that comes up. What's really great is it shows you exactly what the degree requirements and how those credits transfer. So they could come in as major credit, they could come in as elective credit, they could come in as gen ed credit. So how do you know, aside from that, when you're admitted? So what we do is when you're admitted, when you get your decision, we'll also send a follow-up email that says how many credits are going to transfer. We take that information from the college transcript that you've submitted as part of your application. We also, if the school reports your in-progress credits, or you have as well, we'll also include that in the overall total. Then, within a couple of weeks, what we do is we take the official transcript and we put those classes into our official system, which is Spire. And so that will tell you a one-to-one course equivalency on how your credits will transfer. For first-year students, this happens a little bit later, but for transfer students, it happens within the first few weeks of being admitted. So where are you finding this information? As far as the transfer credit guidelines, when I mentioned the C- or higher, when I was talking about AP credit, CLEP credit, that information can be found on the registrar's website. The registrar is in charge of the transfer credit policy. For information about how they transfer to your degree program prior to actually being admitted, you can use the transfer navigator, which is available on the admissions website. And then as another resource, any student that's applying as a transfer student has their own transfer counselor. And that person would be happy to sit down and talk about how the courses transfer as well. Do we have any students from UMass Community College coming from, or coming through the Mass Transfer Program here today? All right. So the navigator is going to be 100% for you because you have different gen ed requirements. So it's really important to connect with your transfer counselor so that you can understand how that impacts your overall time to degree with us. Before we get right into the questions and answers, one thing I do want to talk about is a little bit of how exactly these credits come in. So there's pretty much three categories. The first is your major requirements. So maybe you're taking a course that fulfills a major requirement. The second is Gen Ed. So Gen Ed is something that's broad in the humanities, social science, math, writing, sciences. So your course might come in to fulfill that. And then if your course doesn't fulfill either one, it will still transfer as long as it falls within the college level guidelines. And it will come in as elective credit. So what that elective credit does is it gets you closest to 120 credits, which is what you need to get a bachelor's degree in most programs. So even if it doesn't fulfill specific major requirements or gen ed requirements, it's still going to help get you to your overall degree. I know that's a lot of information. This is something that I talk about all the time. So just to reiterate, your transfer counselor is happy to go over this as many times as you need, and also the information is provided to you when you're admitted.